The following program contains strong sexual content. Viewer discretion advised. Today on drphil.
She accuses her mother of sex abuse and murder.
This is a timeline that you have put together.
But where's the evidence?
What happened to the body?
It was just an unsolved crime.
She claims she was violated in high school.
Raped while on a double date with Denise. Denise denies that happened.
I would have to hear that from her.
Well, you're going to hear it from her. Joining us is Tracy's friend, Denise.
What will a polygraph reveal?
Please tell me the lie detector test results on my mom.
Are her memories real or imagined?
They are very real to her. I'm the last line of defense to this woman, mister.
You want to get up on your hind legs and bark, find out what the hell you're talking about before you are enabling this woman. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
I hate to see people suffering, and you've heard long enough.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
Wilson, take
I'm going to get you the help that you need.
5, 4.
This is going to be a changing day in your life. Yesterday, we spent an hour talking to a family torn apart by unbelievable accusations. Tracy says she has been haunted by dark childhood memories of murder and molestation involving both of her parents. She claims her entire family is covering up their dark and twisted past. But Tracy's mother and siblings say Tracy is a liar and needs to stop making up these sick stories. Here's a recap of what happened.
After the death of my father, I started remembering things from my childhood, abuse, sexual abuse. My father started molesting me around the age of 4 or 5.
You were molested by your father while your mother watched.
Mm-hmm.
You said that you recall your dad paid off people by letting them have sex with you.
That was one of my fears.
Was a fear or is a memory?
I do like this. I have memories, and I have memories. I believe that my mom killed my sister's best friend and buried her in the backyard.
There was a big fight and an argument.
Yes.
And then your mother gave you a gun to shoot this person in the head.
Yes.
Was the person already dead?
Yes. My family states that they don't believe me and that it never happened.
These are crazy allegations. Tracy was never sexually abused in our home. My husband never molested anyone.
I remember my sister having the abuse done to her. I can remember my sister doing bicycle exercises in bed. She said, "You need to do them too. We're making our legs strong so that Daddy can't pull our legs apart."
Tracy is crazy. My sister and I were not molested by my father. Nobody was ever buried in our backyard. Nobody was ever murdered.
Tracy is delusional. She has taken this just too far.
Did this stuff happen?
No, it did not.
It's just so ludicrous. It never happened, any of it.
I have asked my family for help over and over and over.
Dr. Phil, I was told not to call her. She's told me to go to hell.
I didn't. I invited you to my home. I went to your home at Thanksgiving time.
Okay, time out. You believe that this woman has molested and abused you, and that she has murdered people and buried them in your backyard.
Yes.
Why would you go to Thanksgiving at this woman's house? I do not believe that you are intentionally fabricating anything.
No, God, no.
The truth is knowable. We're going to try to figure out what is and what isn't. Is everybody ready to hear the truth here? Now, you've spent a lot of time in your life figuring this out. This is a...
Tons of time.
This is a timeline that you have put together.
It was recommended by the first...
color-coded.
First psychiatrist I saw.
Yeah, it's a type of journalism activity wanted you to do to try to organize.
Yes, in case it was false memory or in case it was repressed memory, and they thought it was a combination of both.
Right.
They said that doing a timeline of active and factual memories can help.
Makes perfect sense.
May I say that when they first went to the psychiatrist and they told me that they needed to do a timeline, I said, let's get us all together. What one person doesn't remember, another one will. And Tracy insisted we not talk together to each other. She didn't want us to talk to each other about it. She would not let us get all together. She would not let us help. She wouldn't let me do anything.
The foremost authoritative person that we've spoke to, Dr. Simpson, in false memory syndrome, told us to not speak with family members about this. That if we did any speaking at all, we're not to do it face to face.
Why are
but
you
we're to
so
do it in
angry when
writing.
you say that? Why do you have such an angry tone to your voice when
Well,
you
He
say that?
doesn't realize he even has an angry tone when he talks like that.
Because that's
just Marty.
You mean
That's
to fix
just
that
Marty.
later?
That's just Marty.
good luck with that. But I'm just being directive and to the point.
Yeah, well, you come
Don't
across
mean-
as really hostile.
Well,
I'm just saying. I'm just glad to hear you're not. That's just the way you speak, right?
Yes.
Can I directly address the?
You don't need to defend yourself. There's nothing
not
to
we were
defend.
trying to
True.
explain why we didn't.
I
Okay.
wanted her help. I didn't want my sister at first and my brother at first. And my brother, I haven't spoken to this entire time. I've never spoken a word to him about it. I didn't want them to have the hurtful memories in their head that I was having, and I didn't want him to process it. I've never said a
Tracy,
word to you about Dad.
in the spring of 2012, you had a 3-hour marathon phone call with me where you had talked about how you were exploring all these, and you had thought and knew at that time that the memories of what you were thinking of Dad did to you didn't happen. You had told me that on the
Honey,
phone.
I have
That was at the
never
same time
told
you
you
told me you were
any
using
details.
crystal as a memory enhancer.
I have never told you any details at all.
I want to focus on the important issues here. Do you think
Okay.
I care about some phone call and how much detail you went into with your brother? It just doesn't matter. What matters is, were you molested? Were you violated? Were you given a gun to shoot somebody in the head? These are things that matter to me. Here's what you said. She was shot in our home, and we blamed my sister.
You say she has no reason to lie. If it happened to me, I'll be very ashamed of it. I'm sure she'd want to be on the Dr. Phil show with that.
And later, Tracy insisted that her mother, Donna, take a polygraph test to prove that she has no knowledge of the molestations or murder.
Please tell me the lie detector test results on my mom.
You were asked 2 questions on that test. The results were...
I do not agree with any of Tracy's allegations. Tracy has accused me numerous times of lying to cover this up. She's convinced that I remember it and I'm just not telling her. I'm not covering up anything for my mom.
We certainly didn't bury anyone in our backyard. It's just so far out. Never was a child harmed in our home.
You did a timeline, I did a timeline, because I wanted to help organize your thinking in a way I could understand it. And you can see it right over here.
I can't see my brother Greg is in the way.
Okay, well, he'll go sit in my chair. Okay, you said in 1970 your dad molested you and Sister Kelly in the bedroom.
Yes.
Okay? That you took
Memory.
Kelly's place being molested because Kelly attempted suicide.
Yes.
And when I asked you about that, you said she just couldn't take it anymore.
Yes.
And you had said that she slashed her wrists.
It occurred when she was in the 7th or 8th grade.
Okay? We have close-up pictures here of her wrist. We have her wrist here. And there's an absence of scars on her wrist.
Good enough.
So she didn't slash her wrists. Now, I've been doing this 35 years. I've seen a lot of people that have scratched their wrist as a cry for help, and a lot of people that have cut their wrist in an attempt to kill themselves.
Right.
I see evidence of neither here.
Okay.
Just so you know, so as you can click these things off, there's no evidence that supports that. Dad and grandfather sexually abused you at the same time. Did that happen?
No.
Okay, good. Babysitter Josie shot and killed by
Josie.
Kelly.
Oh, no. I didn't say by Kelly.
Okay, who shot and killed?
I don't know.
Okay.
Regardless, it was the same time, no wrongful death.
We never had a Josie as a babysitter.
What happened to the body? Is this one of the ones that was buried in the backyard?
No, it was just an unsolved crime.
This is Doug Kane right here. Doug, say hello.
Hello.
Your findings are?
Did you do a search for a Josie that would have been 15 years old at this time, which would have been 1975-ish? Was there a death of a Josie in this area at the time that's unsolved?
No, there wasn't anybody by that name that we found. We didn't come across anything, and there was no unsolved crime from that time.
No unsolved crime.
Okay,
And here's what you said in your pre-interview to us, and this is verbatim. This was transcribed. I remember a babysitter named Josie who used to watch us. She was shot in our home, and we blamed my sister. It was an accidental shooting. Her sister, Marion, spit in my face and said, "You killed my sister."
Yes.
We had to leave Oxnard in the middle of the night and were not allowed to say goodbye to anyone.
Okay, and I did not put all those memory flashes together. I was specifically doing flash, memory flash, memory flash. And yes, but I did not say that I said Kelly was blamed for it. I didn't say I thought that she killed her.
Okay, well, there was no Josie and there was no wrongful death.
Yes.
There's no unsolved
There's
crime
no
in that
unsolved
area.
crime.
And I'm wanting you to hear this too, because if she
No, I
has trouble
understand.
getting her hands around
I
this,
understand.
you don't want to enable a false memory by being supportive of your wife. You want to be supportive of the truth.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can only go by something that's proven.
And there you have it.
Continue on.
Thank you. He can give me permission. It's okay. Dad's friend Bob molested his own daughter Terry and impregnated her.
I did not know that. That was a story I was told. That's one of the things I wanted to have asked.
We did speak with Terry,
Oh, good.
and she says that her father did not molest her and did not father her son.
Good.
And she has no reason to lie.
No. No.
Yeah, I'm sure she'd want to be on the Phil show with that, Dr. Phil show with that.
Well, she could
And
easily have said,
perhaps
I don't
it
want to
did.
talk to you.
I understand.
There were people that said they didn't want to talk.
DNA's powerful.
What's your
Never.
point here?
I'm just saying that you say she has no reason to lie. I say it's something that if it happened to me, I'll be very ashamed of it, and I would not want it to have it aired on the Dr. Phil show. That's my point.
Well, I'll tell you what, she's on the phone, so let's just talk to her. There's an allegation your husband was involved in sex parties and raping Tracy.
Dr. Phil, I've been listening to this, and it is bizarre.
And later,
I had text messages from 2 years ago when my granddaughter was born that you sent me that I gave to the producers talking about that when you were hypnotized in the 90s, that you made up stories about Dad and his friends. My sister Tracy is a liar.
I never saw any indications or any signs of any abuse in our household.
I never saw anything. My father never touched any of his children, never.
My parents never had sex parties. The only parties I remember my parents having were poker parties on Friday nights.
Tracy is delusional.
Dad's friend Bob molested his own daughter Terry and impregnated her. She says that her father did not molest her and did not father her son.
If it happened to me, I'll be very ashamed of it, and I would not want it to have it aired on the Dr. Phil show. That's my point. And that DNA doesn't lie.
So you think Terry's lying?
I'm just saying that it
That
could
there would be reason.
Well, I'll tell you what, she's on the phone, so let's just talk to her. We reached out to Terry, who says that that never happened, and she has proof
I don't
that
know.
her ex-boyfriend is the father of her son. Terry, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you for talking to us about this. We really appreciate it. I'm trying to help this family here, and the only way I can do that is by getting to the truth. Were you molested by your father?
No, sir.
Did he father a son for you?
No, sir.
The father of your son is an ex-boyfriend, correct?
Yes.
And how do
His
you...
name is on the
Birth certificate.
paperwork
Yes,
and everything.
and I cannot show that paperwork because it is confidential.
Sure.
Right.
But I have seen that paperwork. He is the father, and it's documented very, very clearly.
Good enough.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Terry,
Thank you.
Terry, we're going to say goodbye because we have to move on, but it's very, very helpful that you have called in today. I really appreciate it. Thank you for helping us.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Okay. All right. Next thing up was Dad's friend Bob raped Tracy at sex parties. Producers talked to Bob's widow, Sarah, and she certainly denies any of that happening.
Yeah, but if Terry does as a child and she's moved on, then that kind of handled that one.
Sarah's on the phone right now as well. Sarah?
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. There's an allegation here that your husband has passed. I'm sorry for your loss. Was involved in sex parties and raping Tracy during that time. Can you shed any light on this?
Dr. Phil, I've been listening to this, and it is the most bizarre. I can't imagine nothing like that happened. We were close, good friends, and there was no sex.
Well, Sarah, we have to move along here, but I want to thank you for calling in. It means a lot to Tracy and her family, so thank you very much.
Yes, thanks, Sarah.
You're so welcome. So welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, then a couple things that we've talked about. You said Tracy's friend Craig was killed by Dad.
We talked to Craig.
I know. We found him too. He's alive and well and living on the West Coast. Foster child Betty, brother confirmed with our PI Doug Kane and producer that Betty's alive and now a mother of 2.
Yes,
We spoke to her brother.
Right. Kelly's friend Tina that was killed by your mom.
We spoke to her.
Doug Kane spoke to Tina. She's alive. Kelly's friend Carrie killed by your mother.
Did you have a friend named Carrie?
No, I never had a friend named Carrie.
Producer, hold on, one conversation at a time. Producer spoke to the alleged victim's sister, Krista, says she doesn't have a sister named Carrie.
No, and
You
I
were
didn't
friends
put
with
the two of
Krista.
them together. They're not related. And I did not say they were.
Do you, are you picking up a pattern here?
I'm picking up that I could really start getting to deal with false memory instead of fake memory, instead of real memory.
Yeah. You know, we go on, Dad and friends at the sex parties. We talked about gang rape by Dad and friend requiring you to be medically repaired.
That came from a doctor's note
Okay.
when I was 19.
Date raped while on a double date. Hold on. Date raped while on a double date with Denise, and you said that there was a time that your mother violated you as well.
Not sexually, not what I would consider sexually, no.
Well, I don't want to be too graphic here, but
When we were talking about the injury and the girl that was at the house,
She believes
yes.
that to be true, yes.
we're talking about a pocket knife here.
Yes.
Oh, Lord.
We looked at the OBGYN reports, and they show no lesions at all.
This is not the doctor that examined me and the doctor
No, I'm saying this came after.
Yes.
So that would include what was there before and after.
He said he would re-examine me, that at the time that I was pregnant, he said he would have remarked no lesions, et cetera, et cetera. The doctor that I had seen before him is the doctor that made a comment to me about it. But as far as the way things are going right now, we could be talking about all just false memory. That's what we can hope for.
Now, you date raped while on a double date with Denise. Denise just denies that happened.
I would have to hear that from her.
Okay, well, Tracy's best friend, Denise, says she was supportive until she started doing her own investigation. We're going to find out what made her doubt her longtime friend, because you said you're going to have to hear that from her. Well, you're going to hear it from her.
Okay.
Plus, Donna agreed to take a polygraph test. Those results when we come back.
Please tell me that.
Tracy started mentioning more and more people from our past that had known about the abuse. Tracy believes that nobody will come forward and tell the truth about what happened to her because Donna has dirt on them or a power over them. She believes Donna even has the power to cause harm to me or her children.
My mom said, I'll do whatever I need to do. She said, I'll even take a lie detector test. My mom did not pass that test.
I have no idea why I failed the test. I have no problem taking another lie detector test. I had nothing to hide.
Denise says her best friend from childhood, Tracy, has accused her now deceased father of molesting her. Then she accused her mother, Donna, of not only killing her sister's friend, but also forcing Tracy to shoot the next door neighbor. Now, Denise says Tracy is going down a dark path and her flashbacks keep getting worse and worse. Take a look.
Tracy and I have been friends since 7th grade. When we were kids, I would spend the night at Tracy's house. Nothing ever happened with Alan. He never made me feel uncomfortable. If he was a pedophile, I would have been very easy pickings, and he never even tried. I never saw any signs of abuse. It seemed like a healthy, normal family. In the very beginning, when she first told me about the allegations, I really didn't know what to believe. She was very sincere in what she was saying. She was passionate about it. It was very real to her. The more she talked about it, the bigger the story got, the more elaborate the abuse became. Tracy started mentioning more and more people from our past that had known about the abuse. I'd get on the laptop and I'd start searching. I would try to locate that person and have a conversation and find out if that information was accurate. And nobody could confirm anything that she remembered. Tracy believes that nobody will come forward and tell the truth about what happened to her because Donna has dirt on them or a power over them. When I heard the whole thing of Tracy thinking there was a child buried in the yard, I'd start searching anything I could think of, missing children, unidentified bodies. Each time I would research a person, I would actually find them alive and well. I would tell Tracy this. Then a week later, it would be another name and another body. Tracy believes that her mother had hypnotized her to make her forget the abuse. She believes Donna even has the power to cause harm to me or her children. I've known Donna since I was 13. Donna does not seem like a violent person. She's not scary or intimidating. I'm very worried about Tracy. I'm worried about her mental well-being. Tracy gains nothing by making all this up and lying, so I don't think she's lying. She believes it in her heart of hearts.
Well, joining us now in the audience is Tracy's friend, Denise. Denise, thank you for coming here today for Tracy. You're being a very good friend to her.
Beyond.
So one of her allegations, as you have seen, she was date raped while on a double date with you.
Well, I don't deny that that happened. I just deny that I saw anything or anything abnormal then or after that.
So you have no knowledge of it?
We were together, but they were in a different room for a short period of time. And when they came back out, everything seemed fine. She never confided in anything. She didn't stop dating him. Nothing changed. But I just can't speak for what happened behind a door I didn't see.
But she came out of the room. Was she upset? Did she tell you anything had happened to her? Did she report anything to you later that night, anytime during that
Not that I can recall.
Did we have a conversation at all where you had said that you thought something was off that evening?
I remember the night because it was always a Wednesday night, and I didn't remember anything abnormal, and it was just a night like every other night. I'm not saying that I know what happened.
No,
I'm just saying that nothing was abnormal after.
Please tell me the lie detector test results on my mom.
You tell me what your conclusion is based on hearing from Denise and others that we've had on the phone, Terry and...
I think that when they were in doing the hypnosis, that she really messed my memories up. Not her, the therapist. That's what it sounds like. And if you tell me the lie detector test, then I can give my mom a hug.
But Tracy...
And then we can start working on how we get these gone. Because I don't like them. I don't want them. I don't want to deal with them.
I had text messages from 2 years ago when my granddaughter was born that you sent me that I gave to the producers talking about that when you were hypnotized in the 90s that you made up because you thought it was funny. You made up stories about Dad and his friends because you thought it was funny. They're your texts. They're from you.
Kelly,
they verify them.
I did make up a story. I don't know what that... I can remember telling the therapist that there were flowers and candles in the room. That's something Denise and I worked on and took care of a long time ago.
Well, Donna
I
did
knew that they
cooperate.
were
She
false
agreed to
memories.
take a polygraph test, and they were very specific questions. This time the test was administered by expert polygraph examiner Jack Tremarco. And after the break, I'll tell you the results.
Oh, God. Oh, Lord.
You were asked 2 questions on that test. Did you ever bury a human body on your property? The results were... Donna, her daughter Kelly, and her son Greg say that no longer do they have any relationship with Donna's other daughter, Tracy, because of what they claim are false allegations of sex abuse and murder. They say they want to figure out what's going on with Tracy's brain and get legitimate help for her because they question the help that she has gotten up to this point. What I've tried to do here is make a distinction between repressed memories, which I'll talk about here in a minute, and false memories. But one thing that you can always do is try to find objective evidence, hard evidence, to corroborate or not the memories that you have, which is the best way to distinguish between repressed and false. I think we've gone through virtually everything here. We have corroboration that your grandfather touched you inappropriately, at least on one occasion. Beyond that, I found no objective evidence whatsoever of any memory or memory mutation as it's changed across time. Tracy insisted that her mother, Donna, take a polygraph test to prove that she has no knowledge of the molestations or murder. Now, Donna agreed to take that test that Tracy set up in their area to put her daughter's mind at ease, but it only added more fuel to the fire when she failed. Now, we asked our polygraph expert, Jack Tremarco, to review this test. He did not administer it, he reviewed it. The test questions are below. It was, when Tracy was a minor, did you ever encourage or have direct knowledge of Tracy having any sexual contact with Alan? That would be the father. And the others are pretty much the same. There were 4. The next one said, when Kelly was a minor, did you ever encourage or direct knowledge of Kelly having any sexual contact with Alan? To your direct knowledge, did Alan ever seriously hurt or kill Betty? Now, Jack, that before you knew the results or how it fit in this story at all, I asked you to review that protocol, and you did, correct?
I did.
And what was your conclusion?
Well, it was a polygraph report, and in fairness to everyone involved, I didn't get to look at charts, and I didn't get to look at any other documentation or a video. So my opinion was just strictly based on review of the report. In particular, the 3 relevant questions that were posed in that exam.
And those questions were flawed?
Very flawed.
Because they are compound?
Compound questions, and 3 different issues.
And what's the problem with 3 different issues?
He threw 3 separate issues into one test when there should have been 3 separate tests.
Right. And it was not?
It was not.
And the question that she had the worst measurement on, the worst reaction on, was the one about the death of the foster child, which we know is alive.
We do.
Do you believe that you got a fair test from Mr. Tremarco?
Yes, I do.
Did he talk with you ahead of time,
Yes.
explain all the terms and conditions?
Yes, he did.
So
That's
you acknowledge
correct.
he gave you time to calm down, answer
Yes,
the
he
questions, do the whole thing?
Yes.
Was this a good test, in your opinion? Were there any countermeasures? Was there any attempt to be deceitful in her conduct or to create artifact in the protocol?
No, she was quite cooperative. Nervous at the onset, but I expect that. And she tended to calm down. She was cooperative, no countermeasures.
You were asked 2 questions on that test. Did you ever bury a human body in the backyard? Your answer was?
No.
And then a second way of asking the same question, did you bury a human body on your property?
No.
And the results were that you were being non-deceptive. You were telling the truth when that was answered. Jack, was this a close call?
In order for her to have passed this exam, she would have needed a +2 or above, and Donna was a +8.
+8. What do you have to say?
Can I hug my mom?
You do whatever you want. I'm just asking you a question. You do whatever you want.
Hug me, Trace, but we got a lot of work to do.
I don't care about the work. I don't care about the work. We gotta get out.
I can get up.
God. Oh, that's right.
So, Tracy, we've looked at allegations of molestation by father and friends and being passed around sex parties and multiple murders, shootings, bodies being buried. And the truth is, we have not found one shred of evidence to support any of it, and we have found mountains of evidence to support the contrary. Talk to the actual
That is
people.
the best news ever.
Yeah. You can say it's just tone or whatever you want, but you need to not be supporting these memories in her. That's enabling
He has
her.
never.
I'm the last line of defense to this woman, Mr.
I asked Dr. Charles Sophie to join us today. He's the medical director for the County of Los Angeles Department of Children and Family Services. He's a psychiatrist. He is a very well-known author. He's also a member of the drphil Advisory Board. And Dr. Sophie, let's talk about the difference between repressed memories and false memories. Let's put up a definition first of false memory syndrome. It says an apparent memory of an imagined event, usually traumatic and remote in time, generally used pejoratively to imply that the memory was engendered by the therapist, facilitating its recovery. Obviously a controversial concept. Dr. Sophie, what happens here?
I mean, it becomes a suggested thought that then the person then believes, and then they start to add to it as they go through it, and then they grow and they grow and they grow.
So much like a lawyer would be accused of leading a witness, a
Right.
therapist, and in this case, in 1991, a therapist observed that you seemed to be behaving as though you had been
Right.
molested. You said, no, 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 and the therapist said, well, don't believe that.
Right.
So went straight to hypnosis. And hypnosis is based on suggestion, correct?
Correct, and then it becomes a reality in her mind.
Now, let's talk about repressed memory, an event that occurred in a subject's past, the memory of which was actively repressed, often because of the psychologically devastating impact of that memory. Right. Now, you know, what this is saying is that a repressed memory can be something that's just too terrible to think about. Right. So your consciousness pushes it out of your attention, even though you continue to behave in a way that's impacted by it. And we have, you have to understand, even this, you know, people that come back 20 years later and say, oh, I've just had this repressed memory, and it's almost, not always, but frequently involves sexual molestation. And it's a very controversial concept. I have to tell you, I was in private practice for over a decade, never saw a legitimate circumstance that I considered to be repressed memory. Doesn't mean that they haven't occurred, but I haven't seen it. And she's not been a hardcore addict, but she has used drugs throughout this time.
Right.
Neurologically speaking, does this help or hurt?
It hurts, because I think I heard somebody say that you felt that methamphetamine was a memory enhancer. I don't know whoever told you that is wrong. It's a drug. It's a street drug. And you're
Well,
throwing
it
off your
was
brain
Adderall.
chemistry. So, yeah, you're going to feel good, but it's not used as a memory enhancer. That's a sales tactic.
And as real as this can...
It was a psychiatrist that told me that.
But Tracy told us, she told me personally she was using methamphetamine during this time because it was bringing in her memories much clearer.
Sure,
And
it makes
believing
life,
those
yeah, it makes her memory more
You're
vivid.
believing
It
when
might have
we
been
tried
bringing
to
in
tell
visions, but not necessarily memories, is the point. I mean, it can cause you to...
No, and
things be...
it was a psychiatrist that told me. Of course, she did not tell me to use the methamphetamines at all. She said don't because it increased anxiety. I had stopped taking the Adderall and was having trouble functioning and thought, we'll wrap it all up in one.
Yeah, but you understand that memories can be implanted.
Well, and we wanted to believe that in the very, very beginning. Absolutely.
But you do understand that, right?
Oh, yes, very
There's been
much.
major studies done about this. Loftus did a Lost in the Mall, it's called Lost in the Mall study. Porter did another study where they would show people videos and then discuss it with them afterward and add things that weren't in the video. And the people would eyewitness report with 100% confidence that they had seen things that did not happen.
We never dismissed that.
We never have dismissed that.
Do you get that by all signs it points to the fact that this just didn't happen?
Yes, and
These
I love
things
it.
did not happen?
Yes.
And that means this should be a
And
very
that means
happy
I can
day.
have my family back.
After the things that have been said and the things that you've done, though, I mean, how can we come back from that?
We have been saying this the whole time, and you've been nasty and mean, and I have to explain to my 17-year-old, you told her
clearly,
that you used to beat her up.
They are very, very real to her, and you need to understand that.
That's what we were trying to say at the time, was just
and
that.
you
They
need
could
to
be
not
real.
look, you can say it's just tone or whatever you want, but you need to not be supporting these memories in her. That's enabling her.
I'm the last line of defense to this woman, mister.
Yeah,
and
listen,
I ain't going to let anybody get to her.
You need to make certain that you are not becoming part of the enemy.
I'm not the enemy.
If you want to get up on your hind legs and bark, find out what the hell you're talking about before you are enabling this woman.
Believed all of this stuff happened.
I'm saying there is a point where you've got to say, we have a lot of work to do with our family. Well, your father's not here to speak for himself, and there's one thing I want to say about Tracy's father when we come back. I wanted to speak a little bit about this father that has been accused because of memories of some really, really terrible things. But there was a letter that I found in the file that was from the Department of the Navy that I thought really spoke a lot about who your father was. It was dated August 4th, 1975, and it says in part, I wish to take this opportunity to express the appreciation of the Navy Department for the many years you have given to your country. The caliber of your service, patriotism, and deportment have been exemplary. Your outstanding contributions to the military are a matter of record and reflect consistent recognition of loyal, efficient, and exemplary service. So there's somebody that doesn't have any emotional investment in this, speaking about this man in terms of who he was and how he conducted himself. And since he's not here, I just wanted to throw that out on his behalf. I'll close this conversation by saying clearly, y'all have a lot of work to do, a lot of clearing here, a lot of forgiveness to do, a lot of apologies to make. I will certainly volunteer to provide professional help and support in y'all's doing that, and seeing if we can work some of these things out and maybe get back to a healthier family unit here. Wouldn't that be great?
That would be fantastic.
The one thing that we do have corroboration on is that you were touched inappropriately by your grandfather. I'm sorry that that happened to you, and we want to get you some help making sure you've got your hands around.
I just want my family back.
Your hands around that. Well, we're going to help you continue to work on that. I'd like to thank all of my guests today. A special thanks to Doug Kane, former Supervisory Special Agent of the FBI and President of Risk Control Strategies. I'd also like to thank Jack Tremarco, also former FBI Special Agent and polygraph expert, Dr. Charles Sophie, psychiatrist and member of the drphil Advisory Board. And I also want to say thank you to our medical team at Doctor on Demand for helping our guest today with a medical consultation. If you at home want to have your own Doctor on Demand, a new app that we have created is available. You can go to Google Play or the App Store and download the Doctor on Demand app. We'll see you next time. So long. Best of luck to you. Best of luck to you. Hopefully this will put an end to this. Good. Thanks a lot, buddy. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys.